Welcome to Voice of the People on Power FM 91.3 FM. We are also on Dstv and even on Facebook. You too can be part of the conversation by calling us up on 0955 997 997 or on 0979 192 485. And today on Voice of the People, we are joined by Action Institute for Policy Analysis Center, also known as AIPAC, and that is by the Executive Director, Mr. Solomon Ngoma. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning, and thank you very much for having me.
You are welcome. And today on Voice of the People, we'll be touching on matters highlighted in the recently released Financial Intelligence Center, also known as FIC 2024 report, and other pertinent governance issues. So now, Mr. Ngoma, before we go any further, briefly explain to us what exactly is AIPAC all about. We just hear you giving statements, but what is your organization all about?
All right, thank you very much, and that's what a good question. So the Action Institute for Policy Analysis Center, AIPAC, is a think tank based in Zambia that focuses on promoting good governance, transparency, and accountability. Our mission aims to promote economic growth, good governance, and human rights in Zambia through research, analysis, and advocacy. And I am the Executive Director. Our AIPAC focal work of areas, we focus also on promoting fiscal prudence, transparency, and accountability, especially in government institutions, because we believe to say that our law in a democratic society, we have a law to play in making sure that the executive operates within the confines of our laws and in line with the aspirations of our people.
All right. Now, as we are having a discussion with regards to the FIC reports, that is a Financial Intelligence Center, and we have had a few guests yesterday. We did have Mr. Morris Nyambe from TIZ, who did say that the FIC report, from his perspective, from his view, he did say it was something that was supposed to be consistently done. And we did see that it had to do with a lot of figures, mismanaged funds as well. So what is your take on the FIC report in itself?
Yeah, so if you recall very well, last week we issued a statement the moment the report was issued to the public, and we have always maintained as an institution, as an organization, that we always get concerned with the findings by the Financial Intelligence report. And we are of the view, even the time when this institution became hospitalized under Madam Mary Chirwa, time and again we have kept as an organization to say the Financial Intelligence Center report plays an important role in terms of keeping financial irregularities, actual activities, because you see that under the policy of the financial intelligence on United Nations, the focus was to counter money terrorism, like that. Now, when you read that our report in Zambia, the FIC report, they are saying to say there has been reduced in public institutions abuse of funds, but our concern as an organization is that in its current status, the FIC, I'll put them in their category, thick, ACC and the Drug Enforcement Commission, because they are supposed to, in our view, these are supposed to work in tight and hand in hand, because in the others, in short, FIC is more like a whistleblower. Now, when you look at the reports that they have released, we are talking about 1 billion and 5 million between 2022 and 2024. This is mineral. They're talking about mineral taxes that some Zambians and some citizen of some country in East Africa. We're talking about invading about almost it's a lot of money that we're talking about. So when you look at the tax evasion and the money laundering activity in the mining sector, for us, we believe that there should be the mineral trade transactions, including detailed reporting and monitoring of suspicious activities. But the question I should ask ourselves is that how adequate is the government funding these institutions? For example, think the Drug Enforcement Commission, because we're talking about a very powerful cartel here. They are saying the private sector, that the corruption we're talking about, it has increased in the private sector. Now, the private sector, these are multinational companies, and how they move these funds and these monies is quite difficult for officers, in my view, to pursue them. So how adequate are we funding these institutions? The Drug Enforcement Commission, especially the Drug Enforcement Commission, the Department of the Money Laundering Act, because this is their focus and their job. So when you read the report by FIC, it is a very good report in the sense that it is not the first time that FIC is releasing these alarming reports in our conclusion. In 2022, the report was released. In 2023, we saw the report. And one of our concerns that we have always raised is that there's little that comes from their other sisters, the ACC and DEC, in pursuing these matters that have been highlighted in the report of FIC. And as an organization, we believe that His Excellency the President launched the anti-corruption national policy. And it should be in line with what FIC and in line, because we cannot, as usual, every time it's about statements. What actions are we taking to make sure that we fight, to make sure that these tax evasion and money laundering activities benefits our people? And like ending in a few pockets, in a few individuals, they have seen the reports that FIC is saying that a foreigner comes and opens an account. How possible is that? Because and they begin to transact without any suspicion or any alarm. So our question is that how does FIC work with other law enforcement agencies? If they receive information, how quick are these cases? Because the public has to be told that so far, how many cases from 2022, or we say from 2017 or 2018, when these reports by FIC, we have seen the 75 million that has been released. They said we paid 75 million for a company that did not do anything, but they were paid that money. So that's how the cartel works in terms. Now, who are the cartel? They are our brothers and sisters, sometimes in various government institutions. Now, imagine that 75 million today, if we were to use it to build a hospital, and I'll give example like in Lumezi, like in Mongo, and what, how many of our people would benefit from such a facility? But that 75 million went to few individuals in their pockets. Now, if FIC is giving us that report, the challenge that we are facing is that, is it going to be a public, is it going to be a PR, or is it going to be an alarming statements every time they come? Because they should also explain to us to say how many cases that they themselves as FIC have reported and they have been followed and people have been arrested and people are saving cent, or how much money have we recovered from these damning reports. That because it can't be usual business every time we hear a statement is released, but there is no update on how far in terms of the cases. Because we have to know the way they release the report. We would also want to know that how many cases has FIC themselves to tell us to say they have managed to make sure that, because in short, they act like whistleblower and witnesses. But the question comes in that how far ACC and DEC and the Zambia police, how many have they arrested? And how much has it been recovered? That's how the fight against corruption will make sense.
And, well, so many issues have been highlighted in the report that you've touched on some of them, actually. And one of the most significant issue that was noticed and even touched on is the reduction in corruption. What's your view on this positive development? As the Institute for Policy and Analysis Center, do you believe there really is a reduction in corruption?
Wow. It is an open secret that corruption in our country is passive, and there have been serious allegations of top government officials, various individuals who have been accused on corruption allegations. So I find the report to be quite, their statement by I saw the statement by the Home Affairs Minister where I say that I will be arrogant not to respond to that, but since you have asked a question, I think it's not the duty of FIC to tell us that there's what. We follow international standard when it comes to measurement, and we, as a country or worldwide, the Transparency International, they always release the corruption index report. And we have the view to say that if FIC is saying that corruption has reduced, what are they telling? Are they telling us? Are they telling us that corruption has reduced in public institutions or what? Yes, they can say the abuse of public funds in government institutions. I would put it that way, that maybe it has reduced. But as far as I'm concerned, corruption is a cancer that this country is suffering from. Yes, they are saying they have reduced corruption, but they can't praise themselves to release a report to say, no, in the public institutions, corruption has reduced, but it has not gone to the private sector. It means we're doing nothing. In all angles, corruption is corruption. Whether in the private sector, whether in public institutions, whether in churches, whether in home, corruption is corruption. So when you look at their Auditor General's report, you read it very well, then you look at the FIC report, you begin to question to say, what is going on here? I know I've read the report. I've tried by all means to look at that sentence where they say that the corruption has reduced. I only saw it a statement which was issued by the Home Affairs Minister to say the government welcomes the report, blah, blah, blah. But for us, it's not about the government welcoming the report. It's what steps is the government making in curbing corruption. So I'll put in this context. The fight against corruption in Zambia from time immemorial. The Zambians have been clear. We are coming from a roadmap from the 1980s when the UNIP administration under KK realized to say that there was urgent need to come up with laws so that there is no abuse of state funds and abuse and corruption. That. So over the years, we have been trying to make amends the Anti-Corruption Act. We had the Levy Patrick Manawasa, who in my view, three presidents that have shown consistency actually. You talk about Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, we know that there was no nonsense in the Kaunda administration. We were there, but we were very young. We came in the FTJ, where there was serious damage corruption allegations under the FTJ administration, which was most of the reasons that the MMD even lost powers to due to corruption. We came under the Michael Chirufyasata, who also lost a very serious crusade on the fight against corruption. With a strong whip, we saw how he was able to fire people like Honorable Stotera and others for their involvement on the CDF committee and whatever. So he made those serious commitments. We saw how his son, Munenga Sata, I don't know, some man has attended, Mr. Sata directed the Drug Enforcement Commission to investigate his son. So there was all that commitment that was made. But the death of Michael Sata again became Mr. Edgar Lungu, may so rest in peace. Yes, they were there, but the levels of corruption abuse, it also risen under the Edgar Lungu. We have now Mr. Aga Dstv, who has shown a very political strong will in the fight against corruption. But we have been clear of time in memory that the President, His Excellency Mr. Aga Dstv, is that the fight against corruption is not only about words or speeches or what. There must be a whip must be shown to say that we are serious fighting corruption. So last year in June, you remember that Mrs. Monica Mwansa, the Director General, the then acting Director General of the SEC, announced to the public that the anti-corruption was investigating cabinet ministers and top government officials. The people of Zambia, up to now, AIPAC issued a statement last week asking the SEC to say, how far have you reached? Because we can't just live in a society where we are looking at our ministers to say maybe or what. Because we are made to speculate on individuals, even to criticize innocent individuals. So we are of the view to say that the country needs to be updated to say how far have they gone. There are a number of issues. When you look at the financial intelligence report, we have seen some damning contracts being given. So we want to say how far have we gone in terms of investigating these type of government officials. So
would you say then that within this particular regime, that aside from the political will to actually fight corruption, has that actualized on the ground, that corruption actually is being tackled?
Corruption is being tackled, but I'll be very honest with you. I'm very disappointed to say that the fight against corruption seems only to be a vision of His Excellency the President. But from his ministers and his team, I would say I don't see much commitment from those. It's like they have mentioned. It's like when Michael Sata came, somebody takes over, but doesn't believe that. Same under Mwanawasa, when another B took over, we saw the fight against corruption was not taken that serious. So you look at even this, but it's not supposed to be the case. The President has shown his policy that he is against corruption. He believes that public funds must be used for intended purposes. It should not go for few individuals. But we are of the view that His Excellency the President, there is urgent need for him to show the whip and to show that political will to say he means business when he says he doesn't tolerate people that abuse the funds. Yes, we have seen people have it, but we know when we talk about even the drug enforcement, the Zambia's report. We are the view, and we're up to now, we are demanding ourselves to say that the forensic audit report should be made public to stakeholders. We should have a look at the report to say how damaging it is. But if the report is just given to law enforcement agencies, then we know who the donors are asking. We know that the American ambassador, that they did their own private investigation and they have their report. They went and did that. We know that they have their report. But why should we ask the donors to give us the report when the government has that report on their table? Or what we're asking is that FIC is saying, because FIC is in contradiction of their statement to say we have reduced corruption, but yet we have other damning reports that are showing that there is serious abuse of our public funds, which are meant to help our people out there.
So can we now say that it's the system will never change, as we keep seeing the government changes from one government to the other. Last time we had the PF regime. This year we do have the UPND regime, and they always come to say they want to fight the fight for corruption to end. So now, can we say the system can never change?
We need to go back to when we go to our constitution, national values and morals. Is that we know when we were growing up. I'll give an example. When we were growing up in those days, you would find that maybe an old person is carrying something heavy. We were taught by our parents to say you have to help that person until where they are reaching, and you are not supposed to demand any money like what. Today, even just when you park your car in town, anywhere, we said what. We need to go back to our ideology as a country to say corruption is bad, and we must explain what it has done to our country. Ask yourself, that 75 million that was paid to a company that does not exist, how much money that could have done to help in terms of even the bursaries to help our students out there, even to buy medicines in rural areas, and how many of our people, even just to empower women in various communities like that. But it just maybe that money just went maybe to 7 people shared among themselves using a few dubious means. You know what they do, this cartel, the system, they do the cartel, and that's why I earlier in my preamble I talked about that the urgent need to increase funding to DEC and the Anti-Corruption Commission, because it shows that it is lack of adequate funding that makes these organizations to look like they can't fight corruption. Because to fight money laundering activities, to fight illicit financial transaction, it's not an easy thing, I can tell you. You need an expert to understand in terms of financial issues to do with it. Because I'll give example. I'll tell my maid myself, okay, say register a company, and ask somebody, say also register a company, and ask them, say AIPAC will be releasing this project, so we want you to bid on this, on this, and this. Knowing very well myself to say that I even open the account or take this money into the account, then after that money is released and done that. That's what goes on sometimes. You find that people bidding for a contract, you discover to say maybe the procurement officer, what, then they release that, then money that release now. Now, the issue that comes in now is that it comes audit query, because no matter what you do, financial transaction has always it always shows where it is coming and link to say where this money came from, this one, this money came from this one. So if we say the system has been changing time and again, but the problem is that the system, there's what I call political system. We change depending on who takes over government. It's not supposed to be the case. From the time that Levi Patrick Manawasa launched the crusade against fight corruption, by this time we should have maintained the same policy. We show how Levi Patrick Manawasa showed serious commitment. He fired his own cabinet ministers, others were fired, others were arrested, others went to jail. He showed a very serious political will to say corruption does this, and the president means very well, Mr. Gandhi means very well. It's very difficult to fight corruption when you're president, because the same system, it can also frustrate you and able to, and we have seen time and again where the president has raised concern. I'll give example in the number of CDF. We heard the vice president is talking about let's suspend the CDF segment on the loans for what. If you ask us at AIPAC, I think we don't agree with the vice president. Why give people loans when you know them that they have gotten these loans? These are the people. Why not go and arrest them or even ask them to return their money back? Why make others suffer? So it starts from there to say there must be a culture. People must know to say when you get something which is not yours, always find time to return. If it's a loan, return it once you have made your profits. If you know that you're not capable of paying back, why find yourself to get a loan? We have many students out there who can benefit from those loans, even paying for themselves or paying for their tuitions and fees and what. So we are talking to say, look, it is not about, because when you say you are suspending it, is the vice president telling us that the people that have gotten those loans, are they party officials or are they what? That they can't follow them. There's always a trace. When you get a loan, there must always be a trace. People have to pay because others have to benefit from the same loan. It has to be a revolving fund. You pay back, others also benefit. So if we say we stop it from now. So all this shows to say, at what law does these law enforcement agencies pray in terms of even this? We have seen that the president allowed the SEC officers to be on CDF. And we have done our research. Our research that we've done that ACC officers are only allowed to sit on the CDF committee during time where they have to evaluate, even when a contract has already been given. So they have to evaluate whether it's not supposed to be the case. They are supposed to sit at every stage of the committee.
So are you in agreement with Bill number 7?
Bill number 7. It's a very good bill in the sense that, yes, AIPAC is one of those that supported the Constitutional Amendments Review, Bill 7. But we are the first again who went back again to the media. We came back through our colleagues in the media to say this bill should be referred to the next sitting of Parliament, because the minister, whatever the minister was doing, that's not the right procedure of constitutional review. Any constitutional amendment review should carry the legitimacy of the people. You can have the numbers in Parliament. You can do whatever you want to do. But the people of Zambia are very clear. Our people out there, we ourselves as organizations, we go in these communities all over the country. We learn projects, and we know when we come in contact with our people. Our people have shown some resistance in the behavior of some of members of our parliament. They no longer represent the views or aspirations of electorates. Most of them is about partisan interest, not the interest of our people.
But when there is a parliament sitting, those MPs are the ones representing the people. That's what the constitution says.
Exactly. But that is not the case. You look at the Zambian parliament. You and me, you agree. We follow I was telling I featured the other day when I was on another radio program, where I spoke about that members of parliament, they should know right now that the people of Zambia, they pay Dstv, they watch even on Facebook, they follow parliamentary proceedings. The days are gone when they will just be in that house, they will be debating on it. People follow whatever they debate in the house. And we know others have never even greeted the Madam Speaker in that house from 2021 when they elected. But they will be surprised to say that we have this constituency in Zambia. So it shows to say that the people are following. Now, we cannot, yes, the Constitution of Zambia under Article 79, when you want to amend the Constitution, the process has been guided very well. There must be at least stakeholder engagement. What we are having here is not a full review of the Constitution, just legal reforms in few clauses. At least there must be limited stakeholder consultation. When I say stakeholder consultation, I'm not talking about the minister calling people in a hole, maybe in the Southern Province or in Lusaka in a hole, you gather people and say, no, people have endorsed this document. No, I'm talking about stakeholder engagement. When I say stakeholder engagement, there are various civil society organizations representative. The law enforcement agencies representative, the church representative, women's lobby or advocates representative are supposed to be part of what we call stakeholders. They will look at a document that Bill 7, each clause of those 15 that were released, those articles, each one clause was to begin to read it. What do you intend to amend here? What is the problem that you're trying to amend here? So all that consultation, once you have those meetings, you are done. You come up where you even vote to say this one can't be part of this, this one can't be part of this. Us as an organization, we are supporting Bill 7, although we don't support some of the clauses that are in Bill 7 because they remain a danger to our democracy. For example, where it talks about we are trying to get rid of by-elections. So the bill itself has not explained on how a member of parliament will be replaced when he's elected. The proposal says to say the Secretary General of that political party that won the city will write to parliament. Now, you and I will agree to say there is so much abuse when it comes to state institutions in Zambia. A Secretary General will wake up one day, doesn't like members of parliament. He doesn't like you. He will just write to the speaker to say, we have recorded Mr. Ngoma as our member of parliament. We are deploying somebody else. It means the electorates who voted for me and Mr. Ngoma have been robbed of their rights and what. So we are looking to say, how do we replace? They say we don't want by-elections, but how do we find somebody who should be replaced? Because in the other way, whether we like it or not, the people have to have a hand on who should represent them, who should be their member of parliament. So to do that, we say that it is a very wrong clause in the Constitution. It infringes on the rights of a political party, because any president can abuse even his powers. He can just chase members of parliament, some of them, or 20, to say, I will be right to the speaker that we have recorded them where we are doing this. Then we'll be creating the democracy in political parties. So yes, we talk about also secretary to cabinet. We are not of the view ourselves to say that secretary to cabinet years must be reduced to 5 years. No. What we are saying to say, remove the word permanent secretary, but let have somebody who have done 10 years in public management with that experience can qualify to become secretary to cabinet. But not the way it is right now to say that for one to become secretary to cabinet, you must have served consistently 10 years as a permanent secretary. So as we are saying, no, don't reduce the years, 5 years, but remove the word permanent secretary. Just put somebody with 10 years in experience in public management and public services can qualify to become secretary of cabinet. So that you have that institutional memory of you need somebody who understand. Because if you reduce it even to 5 years, what are we trying to address here in our as our organization? We're trying to raise to say, look, we have seen that permanent secretaries, we have seen that most of them they come from the reserve of the political party think tanks, which is not supposed to be the case. A permanent secretary should come from various government institutions. You rise from where you say civil servant rise up to director level. Then next you become permanent secretary. So that there is that institutional memory of institutions and running that. Now, if we say we reduce it to 5 years, are we trying to say that because if secretary of cabinet, because the president can appoint anybody if he wants. So we are saying to say remove the word permanent secretary, but put somebody with 10 years in public management and to run. We have many people in government institutions who can do a better job as secretary of cabinet. I'm not saying that Mr. Gango has failed. No. Mm-hmm. We know what the president was trying to address. Yes, there was a mistake, but we should get ready to say how best do we help in terms of to do that.
This is Voice of the People. You too can be part of the conversation. You can call us up. You can send us your messages. That is on 0955 997 997 or on 0979 192 485. In studio with us, we are joined by Action Institute for Policy Analysis Center, AIPAC, and that is by the Executive Director, Mr. Solomon Ngoma. We're touching on a number of issues, such as the recently released Financial Intelligence Center, FIC 2024 report, and other pertinent governance issues. And so now, we've seen that this year, which again is becoming a bigger conversation, is how we're finding out so much information about corruption or corrupt activities, such as, for example, the biggest one that has been, I would say, one of the biggest whistleblowers, or rather the informer to the public of what's been happening within our government, being the U.S. Embassy, such as how even yesterday they released a report that the rest of Zambia got to find out via their page, which now brings the question of having stakeholders such as yourself, where they're saying, where are you? Why are we finding out from an embassy rather than from organizations such as yourself? What would you say on that end?
First of all, let me take this opportunity to appeal to the government to cabinet actually that the President Dstv administration they have shown some commitments that they want to run an open government, but again there is so much. Yes, I know that there is no way diggers can be releasing the piecemeals of the report. It means what diggers move us, but a hint or maybe their source give them. But that's not supposed to be the case. The Auditor General's Act is very clear. The law of auditing report. The report has to be taken to the president, then it has to be taken to Parliament, then Parliament to the public, to the people of Zambia. The law is very clear. We have to have a look at it, expect stakeholders. So the Access to Information Bill was amended, it was approved enacted into law, but it is not yet operational. And that's why we're having that challenge that we are having, which is, it is very damning, and I agree with you. It's so sad that we have to wait for an embassy to tell us what is going on instead of us as stakeholders. So there must be, what I say, that the government institutions have to follow the open door policy. Anywhere in the world you run in a democratic country like Zambia, democracy is not only about having elections and changing government. No. There's more to democracy. That even institutions like SEC, the FIC, we should be having round table stakeholders and able to understand, so how best do we care in terms of to find these resources. So it's so sad that the access to information is not yet, but it is a law, because we can write now, because we are waiting for the Auditor General, because if we are not, we are likely to pursue the matter to the courts of law. We are likely to take the government to court, Auditor General to court. Why we want to take the Attorney General to court, the government through the Attorney General, to say, why is the report not being shared to the public, when the law says that the auditing report, when it comes to public funds, it must be made available to the people of Zambia, because those are taxpayers' money. Mm-hmm. Yes, they can be 80% or maybe 30% from donors, but most of the funds come from our own taxes, we the citizens of this country, and it is our right to have access to that report, to look at it, to say who are the people that abused, how was this abused, so that we're able to come up with, as stakeholders, even to provide solutions to government to say, look, there seems to be abuse in this area. We believe that we can work on this one. We can do this, we can do this. Let's try to amend the law here. Let's do the procurement here. Or let's remove the Zambia Medicine Insurance. Let's remove it from the Minister of Health. Or let it become a department under the office of the President, the special division. We can, there are many suggestions that we can come up with.
Don't you think in some way it's them trying to protect, let's say, sensitive information trying to be put out? If, let's say, some information came out about mismanagement of funds or certain individuals who are involved, and just right there and then they came to you, the stakeholders, to inform you about what's happening, and maybe one of you, the stakeholders, go and tell the other person, and thereby you are alerting them, and at the end of the day, I think maybe the procedures won't be followed as much. Don't you think in those lines that could work as well? Maybe they're trying to protect the outing of sensitive information.
Yeah, there's nothing sensitive information, because you see, what sensitive information the government is trying to protect when they cooperating partners. We saw how the American ambassador came to say that he did their report.
Even that, they did say that the ambassador didn't go through the correct channel of communication. And that is why we got to know about that. Otherwise, he was supposed to sit down with the government and a meeting was underway. But he decided to go to the media to tell the public about that when they were going to do that actually themselves.
No, but you are aware yourself that the ambassador told us that they engaged the government from 2022. They held meetings in 2023, 2024. They held 53 meetings with top government officials, including the minister. They held those meetings.
Yes.
So the part of the government there, it was just a miscall from the government. They should have not even have attacked the ambassador. Because how do you attack somebody who is helping you? They said they held meetings. 33 meetings were held with various government institutions to discuss the same abuse of what. And all what the donors are asking from the government is they were supposed to be assurance from the government to say we are working on to cabin this. So when you're having those 53 meetings, it means that you are not responding to what they were asking to say how are we going to help this. So now you talk about that the ambassador did not follow. No, he might have broken whatever property broken, maybe addressing the press or what. But you see, he was only communicating to the people of Zambia to say the American government is suspending its funding to Zambia, and they gave reasons why they was suspending that funding, to say there has been abuse. They mentioned, because I'll tell one thing, how we all know how America is good when it comes to investigating these financial frauds. They are not NGOs, no. Even in their own country, they also have issues, but they know how to investigate. We not say that they went country to understand how these drugs were leaving government facilities, finding themselves in the private pharmacies and what, and these drugs are, and these monies, in short, it is about monies.
Can we safely say that the aid cut worked in our favor, or something could have happened about that? Is it a good thing that the aid was cut, or not? In our own view as AIPAC.
The Ministry of Health is a very delicate ministry. It has a lot of programs, and you need cooperating partners to run some programs. Yes, it is a responsibility of the Zambian government to provide for medicines of our people, our resources, and where there. Yes, we have all the resources. We can come up with what. But the issue there is that I'll take you back to say the Ministry of Health. The scandals have not started under the UPN administration. I'll take you back to the MMD, the Henry Kapopo case. So all this shows to say that what have we been doing as a country? Because from the Henry Kapopo time of period there, we should have been coming up with reforms to protect, to make sure there is no abuse of such funds. Now we keep on. We will remember also where the time of the PF, where the time of COVID, we have seen even the reports that there are people, monies were paid to people that never supplied anything. We have seen again in the UPND again that 61 containers of drugs instead of coming to various hospitals were being diverted. It ended up in the other countries and other what. It also, we have seen some people awarding themselves. So it shows to say that what has gone wrong with the Ministry of Health. So these donors have been raising these concerns to say there is this, and this, and this, and this. When this was first raised by the Swedish embassy, they raised it. I remember where Honorable Cornelius Smith was trying to challenge him, said, no, bring the evidence. I just said that was the wrong approach, because we know ourselves. Especially, for example, Mr. Cornelius Smith has been a member of parliament for some time, and he knows he was at one time, even he was part of the packet where all this auditing was being done. He knows that there is this abuse of funds at the Ministry of Health time in memory, and we don't seem to be working towards to say, how do we stop this abuse of funds, especially when it comes to hospitals and what? Because it is a bad thing for me that aid was cut. I will not pretend to you to say and celebrate to say what. You cannot celebrate when something has been done to your country. And I always tell people to say, we should never celebrate the failures of our country or the government, because at the end of the day, the consequences of that decisions, it is our people out there in rural areas who may not have access even to buy maybe a Panadol or what. They are the most victims who would be able to suffer that. So I hope that the American government or the American embassy one day will rescind their decision and able to help, because our people need that help when it comes to, because the government has so much responsibilities. Yes, it is a responsibility, but we have to work with cooperating partners, because there are programs when it comes to the health that I'm not a medical doctor, but I will speak what we have, our research that we have done, that our research shows to say that there's urgent, that these cooperating partners, they bring in a lot of experts, they bring up research programs in the health to help even some of these diseases, for us to understand, even to help us to say, how do we solve this pandemic and how do we help? So we can't say we are happy that we are sad actually ourselves. But yes, we respect the decision of the donors. Yes, we will not say that we believe in handouts from from the donors, no.
Just to cut you off short there, so your counterparts feel that this is the right opportunity for Zambia now to start moving forward, to start producing our own medication, so that we cut out the weeds that have to do with corruption, especially when it has to do with aid. Now it's the right time to start producing our own medication, as we have seen with SAMSA as well. Do you feel we are in a position for us to go that direction, where we can start on producing our own medication anytime soon now?
Yeah, it gives us an opportunity, in the sense that we have to be, we're a very rich country. We have natural resources, we have minerals, we have what? Time and immemorial, we have to revisit our international policy as a country. How has been our international relations policy? Because we have got India. Why can't we ask pharmacists, companies that are in India, to come and open here manufacturing companies of medicines here in our country?
There was one in the Copper Belt in Ndola, which was closed down, unfortunately.
Yeah, because there's always a cartel. So it shows to say that the cartel always fight. But for me, it will be closed down. Maybe it was lack of political will. But the president or the government, the ruling part, the part of the day that is governing the affairs of this country, which was entrusted to the UPND, they have got the responsibility to represent what we, the people, ourselves want. Is that we want these companies, because there's no, so that we're able to avoid this abuse of funds, procurement, Once we have those companies of manufacturing drugs here, we'll be in the right direction. There will be very few, at least, abuses, unlike it is today. Because, when you receive those monies in the accounts, they say, people look at those monies and say, we have enough monies. And you find that, why should we be buying drugs far away? Why not invite other countries? They have got those companies in other countries. Why should Zambia be failing to have that facilities? 61 years of our independence. Why should we be struggling at this stage? We are very rich minerals. We have gold. We have many minerals we have for the country. We talk even the Saunders formula. By this time, even our research institutions, scientific research programs, there are a number of things that we can do, but it requires political will and commitment from those that we have entrusted the responsibility to govern us.
This is Voice of the People. Do remember that you too can be part of the conversation. Call us up, send us your messages. In studio with us, we do have AIPAC Executive Director, Mr. Solomon Ngoma. And some of the things that were touched on within the FIC report or FIC report 2024 is how shell companies were used as proxies or conduits for financial frauds. So some of the things that were touched on is how even casinos, or rather, if I should say, foreign nationals have established companies, and then they'll use Zambians as proxies to control bank accounts, therefore facilitating the transfer of suspected illicit funds outside of Zambia. What policies do you think should be put in place to protect or to safeguard Zambians so that they're not exploited and found in such situations?
Poverty is a very dangerous. It's a very dangerous because it can make you to sell your own country. Because some of these products that foreigners are using, we have seen that a person who is wanted by the United Nations in terms of terrorism came to Zambia and opened an account, and life was just normal. It shows how beautiful this country is. It shows how peaceful we are. But I think we should not be docile as much as we should be peaceful. This also explains a lot also to our banks. How are they working in terms of with law enforcement agencies? Okay, FIC did find that. The question that we should be asking ourselves, who are these individuals? When are they going to be arrested? Because FIC knows the very people that they are talking about. Yes, they have informed us. And that's why we are waiting for SEC and the Drug Enforcement Commission to tell us how far in terms of the FIC report, how much they have forwarded. In my preamble, I mentioned to say there is urgent need to make this follow-up. And I'll be happy that one of these programs, you should also invite FIC people here to ask them to say how many cases you keep only, because it end up look like it's a political statement which maybe is used to dent the government. To what we know, when you want to attract donor funding, people want to issue unnecessary statement. But some of the statements by FIC are very alarming. If they cannot follow up those cases, why come and tell the people of Zambia to say, we believe this and this point, if no arrest? Ask yourself honestly, from 2018, this is 2025. Is FIC telling us that? Then they come and tell us that 75,000 was paid to a company that did not do anything, or that doesn't even exist. How was that money paid to the account? Who authorized such a payment? Because that's a huge payment. Who authorized it? So there are a lot of questions that we're asking ourselves, stakeholders. Who authorized even this payment of this money? Is it Secretary to Treasury or who? Is it a PS initiative? Who? Because we know that the PS is a controlling officer. Funds but to the what are released through the Secretary to Treasury. Who released that funds to release to a company to that? So
and I guess my follow-up question would be then the role of stakeholders. You do act as watchdogs and also ensure that you make the government or the executive accountable. Would you say in the recent years your role has been quite prominent? Or, because, I mean, again, we do see such as with the Cyber Crimes and Cybersecurity Act, how it passed. And I believe also AIPAC did release a statement about that, saying there wasn't proper stakeholder engagement. With Bill 7 as well, we are seeing that. Would you say that stakeholders are really included in the conversation?
We are, as stakeholders, we are getting consent. Yes, President Dstv himself has shown serious commitment of engagement with stakeholders. We held a meeting where our consortium, our chairperson consortium, Mr. Isaac Mwanza, where we belong, the consortium where we have 15 civil society organizations, where we wrote to the president to have a meeting, and we have, and he has opened the doors of State House of showing a listening. But we are just concerned that the president seems politically willing to listen to stakeholders. But there is this hindrance from those he has appointed. And let me use this opportunity. To those that are serving in various government institutions appointed by the president, we, the people of Zambia, voted for Mr. Sakala, the president. We gave him what we call constitutional power to run the affairs of this country. And in that constitutional power, the president has also extended that power by appointing people to help him to govern, to help him run the affairs of government. And if the president has shown an open door policy, that he's a listening president who would want to listen to stakeholders, for us it shows to say that there is hope that we can do more, but that more it goes to permanent secretaries, ministers. Let them create an open door policy. There was no need for us to go and meet the president at State House if the Minister of Justice and the PS and Minister of Justice or Director of the Ministry really respected the stakeholders. But the president knew, and this is how I always tell this. The problem that we have in these government institutions is that civil servants, they should always play an important role. They are not politicians. The people of Zambia voted for the UPND. They didn't vote just for the party UPND. No, they voted for what the UPND, their manifesto and their campaigns. And it is the responsibility of every civil servant to implement the UPND manifesto in line, because that's what the people of Zambia wanted, why they voted for the UPND. So there must be an open door policy from various stakeholders, including directors and ministries and what. There's no need for us every time, as usual, to be meeting only the president, So even the Minister of Justice, she should have listened to stakeholders. A good leader listens. When you listen to stakeholders, there are some things that you learn from stakeholders. There's no need for stakeholders to go even for the press, for the what. I believe in the policy of Bismarck. If you did history, I got one in my history. It's not Boston, but I did one history. I love the Bismarck policy. And I'll tell you why Bismarck is one of greatest in history. That Bismarck believed to say, it's not every time that you have to fight your enemy. No. Sometimes engage your enemy on the round table and trying to understand what is your enemy trying to talk about. So when we met the president at that State House, that meeting, I'll tell you one thing. They say that from 1445, the meeting ended at around 1945. It shows to you to say how willing a very busy man is able to listen to us as a president to understand. And that meeting, the president heard our cry, and we heard, look, we're not against all this. All what we're asking is that let the right thing be done, Mr. President. Tomorrow you'll be here. This constitution we can amend it today. But a person who might come, who come and abuse the same constitution, you may mean well, but the person who will take off from you may come and abuse this. And the president said that they were sensing what we were making. We were just talking, and they said, okay, I hear you, stakeholders. And ask the minister, the bill. By this time, the minister should have followed the president directive. We should have, even stakeholders right now, the constitutional review roadmap should have been, consultation should have been released to the public. So that even as it goes to the next in parliament, by this time we should have been in our last phases. In terms of, so this is what we want. Because it talks about stakeholder engagement. That's why they are appointed, is to help the president. It's not us every time we say we want to rush to the president. No. It's those individuals that are serving in various government institutions. They should help the president in terms, because it's the president, he has appointed them. Say, can you work in this institution? Represent me. They have to call us to say, what are these concerns that you have as stakeholders? They don't say, honorable minister, or directors, or ministry, these are the issues that we are raising, this and this and this and this. We are of the view that this should be done like this. That's how it goes.
So then, which leads to my question, because TIZ yesterday touched on how they too gave, stakeholder, I would say they engaged, they gave their reviews, they gave their opinions, what should be changed, but they said nothing of what they requested or even said possibly reconsider this was actually even enacted. So would you say that the recommendations that you as stakeholders give, are they really followed through, or you're just listened to and it's business as usual and they proceed? No,
the civil servant and the Minister of Justice, those that, and I'll be very honest here, and even our colleagues at State House, Legal Affairs, Mr. Mdea, I think for us, stakeholders, that was a betrayal on the cyber bill, because stakeholders made submissions, and the president really assured us that the concerns of the stakeholders on the cyber bill would be addressed. But we were shocked that the same bill that we raised concerns was already passed into law. It's a very bad law in terms of it, whether the government wants to pretend on it, and that has not put Zambia at international image. Our image is bad when it comes to cyber laws. Yes, we must control the cyberspace. We are in full agreement that we must control our cyberspace, but we should not infringe on the rights of fundamental human rights of our people. Freedom of expression, it's my birthright. I'll die with it. Freedom of assembly. Even talk about the infrastructure protection. Because there are some clauses that are bad. Why should you showing the people posting a call out on Facebook? Why should it warrant me 5 years? For what? Those are not good laws. Those are draconian laws. We're in a modern world in the country. There's nothing wrong. If I'm arrested, I'm invited. You mean I can't tell even my wife or call anybody else? Why should it warrant me 2 years to tell somebody that? So all these concerns were raised, and the silence from the government, and we have seen, yes, the government is simply deciding the law, but it is a very bad law, and we are happy that LAS, they have taken the matter to court, and we hope our court, like they have done time immemorial, they will remind the executive to say, hey, hold on, your powers ahead here, allow this, because you see, you cannot make laws without laws that infringe the rights of the people. don't make laws because you want to make laws to favor you. Tomorrow you'll be out of office. The same laws will come, you will be victims. We have seen so far.
The current laws favor the current government.
I'll give you an example. I'll not mention names here. We have influencers of the influencers, social media influencers. They have scandalized others. They have done cyber crimes. But the police have never arrested them because they seem to be supporting the government of the part of the day. You don't make laws. Laws are not supposed to protect the laws. Laws should be applied equally. The way you arrest somebody to say for posting some video on Facebook, if somebody, social media influencer, whether they support a part, if they are insulted, they should also be arrested. They should not abuse the name of the president to say, no, we are supporting President Dstv, not around. No. You have made those laws. Now, if other sections are not arrested, others are arrested, then we'll conclude the stakeholders to say that these laws are meant to oppress opponents and likely to protect the cyberspace, which is the essence of these cyber crimes and the Security Act, is to protect the cyberspace, the abuse that we have seen on social media, scammers scamming people, which is a very good policy. But there are some clauses that are in that cyber bill that are very dangerous for a democratic society like ours, which we will still appeal to the president that there is still room to review that and just make a cyber act and law that reflects international standards. Because the American issued a statement, an alarming statement, that Zambia was no longer safe in cyberspace, warning its citizens.
Well, this is Voice of the People, and today we have been joined by the Action Institute for Policy Analysis Center Executive Director, Mr. Solomon Ngoma. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
You're absolutely welcome. Do remember that every single weekday we come with Voice of the People, and you too can be part of the conversation. You can send us your messages, and also do tell us what areas we need to focus on where we can have